Hello and welcome back to the Open to Live podcast. This is episode 9. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about specifically what it has been like for me navigating postpartum. So I already shared my birth story. I've shared my breastfeeding struggles, but I haven't yet talked about the unique category in and of itself that is postpartum. I've kind of glazed over it, but today we're going to do a deep dive. And a big part of postpartum, yes, it is the recovery of your own body. It is learning to do the new thing with your body, which is breastfeeding, learning to take care of your new human outside the womb. And for me, coupled with all the struggles that I had with not getting the birth that I wanted, with not getting the breastfeeding experience that I wanted, I had postpartum depression. I'm picturing SpongeBob when he was like, imagination, postpartum depression. And so what I would say to another mom, a new mom, is to try to recognize that early in yourself. If medical professionals see that in you, if loved ones see that in you, it is okay, because postpartum depression is real. It happened to me. I didn't think I would experience that, but I really think it was just all the daggers in my heart of the C-section, the low breast milk supply with a baby who wouldn't latch, and the undiagnosed tongue tie, and trying all the Western and Eastern medicine and nothing working. And then feeling like a stranger with a son who wouldn't latch, and just all the things added up to me being depressed. And I wish I would have recognized that in myself. I wish the people around me would have recognized that in me. And so because I was depressed, my midwife recommended me to take an SSRI. An SSRI is a type of antidepressant that doesn't create more serotonin in you. What it does is it keeps the existing serotonin to stick around a little longer. At least that's the way how it was explained to me. And it did help. I remember so many times just crying and crying and crying because I was grieving the loss of not getting the birth I so desperately wanted. I was grieving the loss of not getting the breastfeeding experience I so desperately wanted. And then feeling like I was a stranger to my son. I remember seeing him be comforted by his father, be comforted by my mom-in-law, and just feeling like, wow, how come everyone else can soothe my child but me? So just all the things added up to being depressed, and taking Zoloft really did help me to suddenly not be crying as much as I was. Though I will say there were times that I felt like, man, I'm not crying at all anymore. And I kind of want to cry right now. Like, I wish I could get some tears out. So there were moments like that on the extreme end of taking the antidepressant that I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm not crying at all, and I could use a good cry right now. And then there were other moments when, let's say I didn't refill my prescription for a few days and I just cold turkey wasn't taking the medicine. Now, this is not the kind of medicine that you can or should stop cold turkey. So then that led me to be very depressed and crying for days until I refilled that medicine. I am since off the Zoloft. I got it prescribed by my midwife for I think the first 6 months, and then I got it prescribed by a primary care doctor for another few months. And then I guess life got hectic. Maybe I was traveling. I don't know, but I just stopped taking it. Not because I was intending to sabotage myself. Life was busy, and I guess much brighter than it was in those early days. And somehow I weaned myself off of the medicine. But what I wish I could have done, something I didn't share previously in my birth story, is I was wanting to keep my placenta. Now, if you don't already know, women grow an organ the size of a dinner plate in our body. And it is the placenta that is giving oxygen to our child, is such a life source for our preborn child. So not only do you birth your baby human, but then you have to birth your placenta. And I was told it is once you have released the placenta that you are officially considered not pregnant anymore. So really, a lot of the time of your recovery is not only your womb shrinking back down to its original size and you just recovering from 9 months or however long of bearing your child, but now you have a huge wound from that placenta that, being removed, that is also healing internally. And if we could visually see that wound on the outside, we would be much more gentle with women in the postpartum period. We would give way more than 6 weeks of paid family leave, paid maternity leave. Seriously, if we could see the hard work that women have to do on the outside of the womb, there would be hopefully at least 1 year of paid family leave federally. So I wanted to keep my placenta and I did not get to because I had this unexpected C-section. And what they told us is that if I wanted to keep my placenta, I had to have already pre-arranged a pickup for that. But it's like, I didn't know I was gonna freaking have a C-section. And sure, I guess that night before, as I was laying on the hospital bed trying to get one last good night's sleep before my child was born, yeah, maybe I could have planned for a placenta pickup. But in the wee hours of the night when your phone's blowing up and the nurses keep coming in and out and you're anxiously waiting for your husband traveling across the country to get there, like, yeah, arranging the placenta pickup was not on my mind. If I get another chance, if I get a better birth experience, I definitely want to keep my placenta. Women do different things with their placentas. I've heard some women bury it. Some women keep it in the freezer for a year and then bury it. Women have made art out of their placentas, like looking like a tree of life, like taking a placenta and having it like pressed onto like a canvas to look like a tree of life. What I wanted to do, which is what a lot of moms do, is consume the placenta. You have it encapsulated. Now there's different theories on whether or not consuming your placenta postpartum is beneficial at all, especially if you dry it up and encapsulate it. How's that helping you at all? But then there's other moms who swear by it. I just think, like, what could possibly go wrong? How could it could only help me and not hurt me? And so I've heard that consuming your placenta postpartum could help with postpartum depression. Another thing I've heard recently is that progesterone, getting prescribed progesterone, could also help with postpartum depression. And if I had known that, I probably would have asked my local NAPRO practice, natural procreative practice, hey, is there any way you can prescribe me some bioidentical progesterone to help me with navigating postpartum depression? And maybe that would have helped. But yeah, I definitely, if I had to endure postpartum depression again, I would not want to resort to Zoloft just because of how hard it was when I didn't get it refilled for a few days, just how hard it was getting off of it. And it has blue dye in it. So that's another thing. If you're really health conscious, then you may not want to be consuming blue dyes. And I wish I had prioritized rest, especially for the first 40 days. I wish I just would have stayed in bed. But because I was so depressed, I was doing mental health walks. That's something I had already started doing when I was still pregnant, just to like get out, walk the dog, take a mental break from working on the laptop all day. And so after having my son be born, I was still doing mental health walks because at that point I was depressed. I remember my husband setting up chairs on our little balcony fire escape terrace and encouraging me to just sit outside and get sun to help with the postpartum depression. And that was a really hard time. And I'm really thankful that he thought to do that. But yeah, pros and cons, it's like I was depressed. So it was nice to get out and just walk around the neighborhood. Like, I'm not saying crazy walking all over San Francisco. I just mean a walk around a couple blocks just to get out of the house, get out of the same four walls. So yeah, I wish I had prioritized rest and not walked. Like if I could do it again, if I ever do it again, I don't want to do any mental health walks, as counterintuitive as that may seem, because I really believe the female body needs to rest. And instead, if I'm ever experiencing postpartum depression again, I would want to be able to have consumed my placenta and get prescribed progesterone or some progesterone-based medicine, antidepressant, if that's a thing. I think it is. Another thing that was really helpful during this time is that I restarted therapy. Somehow I was eligible for therapy through my OBGYN office. It's kind of confusing. Like, I was getting prenatal care originally in a maternity setting and in a hospital setting by midwives. And then I switched to a birth center, but I needed to have a hospital as a backup care. So the place where I first was getting prenatal care became my backup in case my birth at the birth center went wrong, which I ended up having a C-section. So I did end up going back to that same hospital setting. So I kind of use interchangeably, like, yeah, my midwife from the birth center prescribed me the antidepressant Zoloft, but my OBGYN from the hospital-based midwife practice was able to get me connected with a therapist. And I think maybe it was some kind of program of students needing credit hours or something, because it was free to me. And it was really great to go through therapy specific to navigating this new season of life, like processing everything that I just went through and having the therapy be specific to postpartum. And it just was so helpful. 10 out of 10. Do recommend. She really helped me a lot. Dr. Ellis, shout out. There's no way homegirl has found her way to the Open to Life podcast. But some things that she helped me work through were like being okay in my new body. And body changes is something we're going to talk about in a second. So hold on to that thought. But something she told me was, no matter if I somehow lost all the baby weight, I worked out, and now I'm back in my preconception genes, my body is still a postpartum body. No matter what, I still bore my child, no matter how I look. There was one thing I was trying to process. One day I was mad at my husband, and I just blurted out about the birth. Like, all you had to do was show up. Like, I was cut open. I was here alone. I called the midwife. I waited at the hospital, and all you had to do was show up. And I was talking to my therapist, like, I don't know where that came from. Like, I was just mad and I blurted it out loud, but maybe there was some truth to that. Like, why did I say that? And she told me that it's not uncommon for moms to like feel a sense of resentment towards their husbands, that yeah, all you had to do was show up, and like, I did all the hard work. So that was just really helpful to go through therapy to help me process. Along with processing was storytelling, and this was something my therapist encouraged me to do. She encouraged me to tell my birth story to my son. And I did go to two different storytelling circles, like sharing spaces. One was specific to birth trauma, and then another was specific to breastfeeding. And I was like really excited to go to these spaces to have a place to share this story bookend to bookend. So I went to this birth trauma storytelling circle, and it was at this midwife's house, and she is studying psychology specific to the unique experience of postpartum in women, because we have this traumatic experience of birth, and then we're just kind of sent on our way. You're rolled out of the hospital in the wheelchair, and it's like, good luck, sayonara, see you next time. And you're not given a helping hand to process everything you just went through. So I don't have a car, but this storytelling event was happening in the East Bay, and I'm in San Francisco, and I think it took me like over an hour and a half by public transportation to get to her house. And I made a firm effort to go because I wanted to share my story, which you can listen to a few episodes back. And it was so nice to be in community with other moms and just relate. We all shared the loss of not getting the birth that we wanted. We all were wanting these unmedicated natural births, and all of us moms who were there all had C-sections. Like, what? Huh? And so it felt really nice to just be with other moms and just feel validated by them and validate myself. Like, yeah, it sucked not getting the birth I wanted. And, you know, people, they always would try to kind of brush it under the rug to be like, you know, but you're healthy, baby's here. That's all that matters. And yes, it is good that my son is here, that my son is born. It is good that he is here alive and healthy. Good, 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 good. I'm not taking away the gift that is the life of my son. And on the other hand, I still didn't get the birth that I wanted. I just wish we would not invalidate mom's experiences by being like, oh, but your baby's here, your baby's healthy. Like, come on, like, just like, you know, forget about it. And I think it needs to be both and of like, I'm so sorry of that loss that you were so hoping for. And I'm also happy that you're healthy and baby's healthy. It can be both and without taking away like, yeah, you had a sucky birth experience. Like, just forget about it. Baby's here. That's all that matters. Like, no, that's not all that matters because moms matter too. Hashtag. And so I went to that birth story group and I made an effort to bring my son with me per the advice of my therapist because I wanted to share my story with him there. And that was a really healing experience for me. And I'm so glad I did it. It was, you know, hard to get there. Then I got a ride back home from one of the moms. That was really nice. So I definitely would recommend that to another mom and helping you with processing your experience. Try telling your story to your child. I also went to a breastfeeding support group or like storytelling circle, and it was just so nice to also feel validated. Wow, we all struggled with like not being able to breastfeed either as long as we wanted or have the supply that we wanted, and just feeling like I'm not alone in that. So definitely find some storytelling circles near you. Even if you don't enter in with the thought of I'm going to share my story, I'm sure once you hear other people share, it'll give you the courage to also share for yourself. So in the postpartum depression, not getting the birth I wanted, breastfeeding struggles, I felt disconnected from my son. And one advice that I got from a mentor coach person that I worked with from Homeless Prenatal Program was to try going to an infant massage class with my son. So I did, and this was at a point in time where I felt like he was just crying and screaming all day long. He would be soothed by everyone else but me, and I was so scared at this class, like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be screaming and crying the entire time. And sure enough, he was fussy. It was so strange because I think he was like the oldest, if not one of the oldest babies at this infant massage class, yet he was the one crying the most, like more than like fresh out of the womb newborns. And it was really hard, but you know, I made that effort to connect with him. Which reminds me, at that birth story sharing circle, I shared to those moms, like, because of all these events, I don't feel connected with my son. And one of the moms said to me, you may not feel connected to him, but trust us when I say that we can see the connection. Like, even if you can't feel it, the connection's there. And sure enough, she was right. Months later, I'm in love with my son. We're best friends. I remember at that point in time, I had just started learning, basically trying to go diaper free, trying to give your child opportunities on the potty, what is called potty tunities. So I had just started learning what's called potty tunities. It's kind of essentially early potty training. And so I remember being at that circle with the moms, and I was like, oh, I need to go give him a potty tunity, like run off to the toilet. At another point, I changed his diaper. At another point, I got a bottle of formula ready for him. And yeah, so they saw me interacting with him, taking care of him that whole time. And so it just really validates me looking back now, hindsight, that yeah, the connection was there, even if I didn't feel it. So, sleeplessness. Okay. When you're pregnant for the first time, people are going to tell you sleep while you can, and it's super annoying. And my son just turned 11 months, and so he'll be 1 year next month. And I still have yet to get a full night's sleep. He wakes up at least 1 to 3 times a night, which is really exhausting. We bed share. I know, controversial. Oh my gosh, we sleep in the same bed. But it's like you sleep in the same bed with your spouse, huh? There's safe ways to do bed sharing. Like, don't go to bed drunk. Don't go to bed high. Don't go to bed taking sleep meds. Be smart about it. These should all be practical things. One big thing they always say is make sure baby's on back. Another big thing I didn't hear as much is make sure your mattress is breathable. So even if you were face down in the mattress, you could breathe. So anyways, there's safe ways to do bed sharing, which is what we do. And I have not sleep trained my son. Sleep training would involve putting the baby in a separate room, letting them cry it out, you not tending to their needs when they cry in the nighttime. I just think that's super totally against motherly instincts. It's just so crazy. But anyways, since I haven't done the modern Western ways of putting baby in separate room and letting them cry it out at nighttime, it's going on 1 year of not having a full night's sleep, y'all. I did just listen to a podcast of this expert who said that sleep training could be okay at maybe after 1 year old. It's just, I really don't want to scar my son. I've been listening to this expert. She wrote a book that's called Being There, Why the First 3 Years of Your Child's Life Are So Important. And she talks all about why it is not good to leave your child to just cry it out. Why it is not good to put your child in daycare to be taken cared for by strangers who aren't attachment figures like grandma or auntie. It's one thing if your child is being taken care of by grandma or auntie, but then it's another thing to be taken care of by complete strangers. And anyways, that there's long-term lasting effects for your child later on in life based on you not being a secure attachment figure to them in the first 3 years. So I am going to do my best to be a secure attachment figure for my child and, God willing, for any future children to come. But anyways, so because we bed share and I refuse to do sleep training, I'm pretty sleep deprived for going on 12 months, a full year. I think now, like, if I had known that my last full night's sleep was going to be my last full night's sleep, geez, I wish I would have soaked that in. I wish I would have gone to bed earlier that night. I wish I could go back and just experience that one more time. But I know I will sleep again, and that's something I ask other parents. I'm like, so when did your child start sleeping through the night? And every baby is different. Some babies, as early as 3 months, they'll be sleeping 8 hours, 12-hour stretches. And it's nothing that you're doing wrong. Me as the parent, I have tried everything to get my child to sleep through the night. I've tried magnesium lotion, sleepy time lavender spray, sleepy time oil in the diffuser, sleepy time teeth, gum oil, sleepy time medicine. We got a new medicine I want to try out tonight that says help babies fall asleep and stay asleep. And those are the key words that I'm like, oh, maybe this is the magic formula that's going to do it for him. Yeah, so postpartum has been a lot of sleepless nights. It's totally normal in the newborn trenches days. But yeah, at some point you would think a baby would sleep at least 8 hours, right? His first stretch is normally a 5 hour stretch, and then it's like 3 hours or 2 hours, and then up for the day. So I'm like, will I ever sleep again? What will it be like? Will I finally sleep again when my youngest child is like 10 years old? I have come to the conclusion in my mind, I will never sleep again until my youngest child is old enough to sleep through the night. And I talked with a mom a few weeks ago who I believe her child is 4 years old, and I asked her, hey, when did your child start sleeping through the night? And she was like, oh, just recently. Because only recently I finally weaned him off of breastfeeding, something like that. And I'm thinking like, "Bleh? 4 years of not having a full night's sleep? Like, oh, girl, God bless." And that just goes to show you how resilient women are, okay? That's just something postpartum that probably magnifies all the problems. When you don't get enough sleep, like women, 7 to 8 hours is not enough for us. For women, we need like 9 to 10 hours to be functioning, healthy, thriving women with all the struggles that equaled my postpartum depression, that the postpartum depression probably felt even magnified by not getting complete night's sleeps. So, what else? I touched on it a little bit earlier with my therapy that I was processing that my body changed, right? I knew that my body was going to change. I did not know what change would look like. I imagined the way how my body was going to change was that my body would have a lot of scars, stretch marks, but that my body would shrink down back to its original size. That is not what happened. Instead, I have 0 stretch marks and I'm a bit plumper than I was before. Arguably, when my husband and I look at pictures or videos of me pre-conception, I almost look unhealthy with how small I was, but I don't know. I feel like the pendulum has swung a little bit too far to the other side with my postpartum body. 3 different people have asked me if I'm pregnant with my second child. 2 of those people were adults who should have known better. But one of those people was a child, my kid neighbor. And she actually asked me not once, but twice at 2 different times if I am pregnant. And so I've had it happen 4 times. And, you know, kids just say the truth. They just blurt things out. So I know if she's thinking that, probably other people are thinking that. And sure enough, those 2 different adults, they were thinking that, and they asked it out loud. And it really hurt because I have so many clothes that I do not fit into anymore. It's been really hard postpartum to look at my closet at all these beautiful items that I don't fit, and navigating the question of, do I give these items away and just completely replace my wardrobe with new clothes? I have gotten 3 new pairs of jeans that I've circled through. I circled through skirts still that easily fit. I've had to get new tops. It's just really hard. And I live in San Francisco that has one of the best public transportation systems in all of the US. We don't have a car, so I am walking more than I've ever walked in my life just to get from place to place. And so it's just so odd. You would think, and living in a place that requires me to walk so much, I feel like I'm more physically active here than I ever was living in Texas. But why am I weighing more than I ever had? I just find it so strange. You would think if I was living in Texas, where I was just driving myself everywhere, barely walking, that I would be much bigger there. Like, what? So that's been really hard. But part of my 2025 vision board is to work out. And I did get a set of dumbbells. I've been off and on following along with workout videos. I wish I could just like get a gym membership. That would be amazing. But yeah, it's been really hard. So I just want to be vulnerable in that yeah, people have looked at my body, at my mom pooch, my stomach, and assumed that I'm pregnant. I remember one time listening to a podcast episode by Trent Horn, and he said something like, I do not care if she is 9 months pregnant along. I am never going to ask a woman if she's pregnant. So I guess it's kind of a good rule of thumb. Like, don't go around asking girly pops if they're pregnant. But I do feel like, okay, at some point, if they're freaking 9 months, like, okay, I at some point, I think it's safe to assume, like, oh my gosh, congrats. Amazing, Anyways, so that's been really hard. All these things with just navigating the changes and the losses. And then people look at my body and they can visibly see that it's different now and that I look pregnant. My goodness. Postpartum cycle tracking. Okay. That's been a big deal for me. Postpartum. I did not get my period for 7 months after having my son. And that was really cool to have like 7 months of not worrying about a period. I mean, after the postpartum bleeding time, I birthed my son May 10th, 2024. And then I got my first postpartum period December 6th, 2024. And you want to know, how did I track my cycle during that time? How did I avoid getting pregnant during those 7 months? Well, I use the Marquette method of natural family planning, specifically the Marquette postpartum protocol of the method, which involves you using your Clearboom monitor, testing for certain days, and I believe it's called the 10-day method of you hacking the monitor. And so a period only happens after an ovulation, which means I successfully avoided getting pregnant during that first ovulation. So I caught my first ovulation during that 7 months time of waiting for a period. And I was using my Anito monitor that I talked about in the previous episode. And on November 30th, 2024, my Anito monitor confirmed my progesterone rise. So my Anito monitor confirmed that my ovulation had passed, and that told me that I was going to get my period soon. And then sure enough, got it on December 6th. So before I ever had my son, my cycles were like 22, 23 days long, which was not a good sign of healthy progesterone. Then once I was taking progesterone, then my cycles became like 28, maybe 30 days long. And now my cycles postpartum, my first cycle was 37 days long, then 40 days long. My most recent one was 42 days long, but I also did a lot of traveling that cycle. And now currently I am on my 4th postpartum cycle. Now, when I say the cycle was 37 days long, I'm not saying I had a 37-day long period. A cycle from start to finish is that first bleed up until your last day before your next bleed. So the start of your period up until the last day before your next period, the last day of dryness before your next period. So it's been interesting going a long time in between periods, 37, 40, 42 days. Like, okay, this is nice. I'm just chilling. It's nice to feel like I have a lot of days in between periods. But now I am starting to get concerned because a healthier range would be like 30 to 35 days. So I'm thinking, why are my cycles maybe going a little too long? So maybe that's something I'm going to have to figure out. So definitely, if you're a mom in the postpartum time, who's not wanting to have 2 under 2, I do recommend the Marquette postpartum protocol, Marquette method of NFP postpartum protocol, which will help you ideally to catch that first ovulation, to help you avoid that fertile window. And last but not least, find mom friends, find a community, find a village, because, when you become pregnant and when you give birth to that child, you are a new woman. You are a new person. Something has been turned on inside you. Something has been awoken inside you. And I love my friends who aren't married. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I love those friends, but I just can't relate. I need other moms who I can confide in, who can relate with me. And so it's been good to find mom friends, to confide in mom friends, especially if you can find mom friends who have children around the same time, who gave birth around the same time, whose kids are around the same age as your kids. Ooh, chef's kiss, because then you're navigating similar struggles around that age and you just have someone you can relate with. So, and if you have the chance, go to some mommy and me classes, mommy groups, walks in the park, mommy Pilates, mommy yoga. Do it. You will not regret it. You love your man. I love my man, but his struggles as a dad are not my struggles as a mom. So that is all I have for navigating postpartum. I hope this has been enlightening. I hope this is helpful. And just to recap, what would I do differently if I have postpartum depression again? I would want to keep my placenta, consume my placenta. I'd want to get progesterone prescribed to help me with the depression. I would definitely do storytelling groups to help process my birth story, my breastfeeding story. I definitely would do therapy to also help with processing everything. I would try to learn to love my body, slowly start incorporating exercise again, and I would be tracking my cycle to try to catch that first ovulation so that your girl don't have 2 under 2. I think, let's see, my son is turning 1. Yeah, so in a few months, if I got pregnant again, I would not have 2 under 2. And I really, really don't want that. A part of me wants to hurry up and get pregnant again. I loved being pregnant. I love how much, of a goddess you are to the rest of the world, all the special treatment you get. It was such a beautiful experience to bear life, create life. I wish I collected colostrum when I had the chance. I would do that differently. I would just do everything to try to get that natural unmedicated birth and to get that baby's tongue tie clipped on day 2. A part of me wants to hurry up and be pregnant again so that I can hurry up and get the birth that I want and hurry up and get the breastfeeding experience that I want. But then I'm like, wait, slow down, partner. 1 baby's not sleeping through the night. This is a lot. Also, have to be wise with what is God calling us to at this moment. What is the wise thing with our finances and jobs and where we are in the world? Lots of things to consider since God has given us free will and knowledge. But with that, we are all called to be open to life. You guessed it. So thank y'all for listening to episode 9 of the Open to Life podcast. Hope you enjoyed and hope to see you in the next one. Bye.